Hello and welcome to Mind Shifters Radio. I'm Tim Hayes. I'm your host for the first hour. And today just happens to be a Thursday, February 25th, 2021. And as always, we're grateful to everyone who's joining us here today, whether you're listening live or listening in the archives, as we spend another couple of hours teaching and supporting people in using some of the most powerful, effective, efficient, and accessible tools I've ever encountered in my 46 years of doing therapy. And gratefully, these tools are available absolutely free at whyagain.org. If you go to that website and click on the red and white bullseye or the link in the upper left-hand corner of most pages, it'll take you to a page where you can download and read Chapter 24 of Dr. Michael Ryce's book. His book is titled, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? He happens to be reading through that book this year. He's beginning. But that chapter of the book is a narrative description of the primary tool in this work, and that tool is called the Reality Management Worksheet, sometimes called the Reality Management Wake-Up Sheet. And it's a tool I've been using to great effect for the past 16 plus years to improve my quality of life, turn my negative emotional states into infallible guidance, to improve my quality of life, and I encourage you to do that soon and often. You can also download the actual worksheet. It's a simple PDF. No need to even get put on a mailing list. Just print it off, copy it as often as you'd like, and put it to good use in your life. We encourage people to do that, and then give us a call if they've got questions or comments, testimonials. Our call-in number is 563-999-3581. You can also go to your app store and type in the three words HeartLand Aramaic Forgiveness and get access to a completely free and private app that has the Reality Management Worksheet on it, an abbreviated version of that worksheet process, and a copy of the Dragon Klingon game. You can also download from that webpage a whole host of audio files of shows like this one. And as a matter of fact, the last 2 days worth of shows, the first hour of Tuesday and Wednesday, were examples of people who called in and got steps through the worksheet process. So those audio files can serve as a tutorial for you to teach you how to make effective use of this tool in your life. We've also made the commitment to work through the Course in Miracles this year, and today being the 56th day of the year, Course in Miracles review lesson for today starts with lesson 26, and it says, my attack thoughts are attacking my invulnerability. When I read that lesson, I change the word invulnerability to the two words, my perfect, or the three words, my perfect safety. So my attack thoughts are attacking my perfect safety. The commentary reads, how can I know who I am when I see myself as under constant attack? Pain, illness, loss, age, and death seem to threaten me. All my hopes and wishes and plans appear to be at the mercy of a world I cannot control. Yet perfect security and complete fulfillment are my inheritance. I've tried to give my inheritance away in exchange for the world I see. But the Creator has kept my inheritance safe for me. My own real thoughts will teach me what that inheritance is. Lesson 27's review. Above all else, I want to see. Recognizing that what I see reflects what I think I am, I realize that vision is my greatest need. True vision, the ability to see what's actually true. The world I see, in an earlier lesson they told us that seeing for human beings means image creation. The world I see attests to the fearful nature of the self-image that I have made. If I would remember who I truly am, it is essential that I let this image of myself go. As it is replaced with truth, actual vision will surely be given to me. And with this vision, I will look upon the world and on myself with charity and love. Lesson 28's review is, above all else, I want to see differently. The world I see holds my fearful self-image in place and guarantees its continuance. While I see the world as I see it now, truth cannot enter my awareness. I would let the door behind this world be opened for me, that I may look past it to the world that reflects the love of the Creator. Lesson 29. God, creation, the power of creation, is in everything I see. Behind every image I have made, the truth remains unchanged. Behind every veil I have drawn across the face of love, its light remains undimmed. Beyond all my insane wishes is my will, united with the will of the creation. God, the Creator, all that is still everywhere and in everything forever. And we who are a part of that creation will yet look past all appearances and recognize the truth beyond them all. Lesson 30's review is, God is in everything I see because God is in my mind. The creation is in everything I see because the energy of creation is in my mind. In my own mind, beyond all my insane thoughts and separation and attack, is the knowledge that everything that is only one thing forever. I have not lost the knowledge of who I am because I have forgotten it. It has been kept for me in the mind of God, in the seat of creation. Creation, the one, all that is, has not left its source, has not left its true thoughts. And I am, and who I am, and I, who am among those thoughts, am one with them and one with all of creation. So the lesson for today is a review of lessons 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. And we've also made the commitment to follow along with Pam Grout in her book, The Course in Miracles Experiment. And what Pam has to say for today is, she titles this 56th chapter as Snidely Whiplash is Only a Cartoon. She quotes Lin-Manuel Miranda as saying, there's no such thing as a mustache-twirling bad guy. Pam writes from the Need to Know category, the truth remains unchanged, and everything I want and need is right there behind my fearful self-image. The song for today from the jukebox is Imagine by John Lennon. And the first part of the We Will Rock You is, I am at the mercy of the world I see. And the rock you part is, Pam writes, Michelle is the single mom of 2 little boys. After reading my book E Squared, she encouraged her boys to focus on what they wanted each night when they went to bed. When her oldest was 6, he announced he wanted a turtle. I couldn't back down from what I always told them, and I didn't want to put any doubt in his mind, she told me. But what was I going to say when he didn't get his turtle? After I'd been harping about this, asking and believing thing. She kissed him goodnight, but, quote, as I turned back, I immediately started worrying. How would I explain when this didn't happen? close quotes. The mother goes on to say, at around 10:30 p.m., there was a knock at my door. It scared me silly. I cautiously went to the door and peered through the window. It threw me off when I saw my girlfriend's cousin's husband standing there. He didn't have a very good reputation, and we never talked to each other, but curiosity won me over, and I slowly opened the door. Very sheepishly, he stammered, and finally just blurted out, I'm sorry if I startled you, but I work maintenance for the country golf course, or the county golf course. I just found this turtle while driving home. Something told me that maybe your boys would want this. I was dumbfounded. We were not on his route home. He had gone out of his way. My son, the next morning when she showed him, was not at all surprised. His attitude was, of course I got a turtle. That's what I asked for. But to me, it was mind-blowing proof that we should always have the faith of a child. So that's our lesson for today and our input from Pam Grout. And we have time to talk about whatever might be top of mind for you. We've had some powerful worksheets done the last 2 days. We've got a support group coming tonight. That group is available through Zoom at mindshiftersacademy.org. If you go to that webpage, please note that there's a separate page for the login information for Tuesday and Thursday. We had somebody last week who kept trying to join us by logging or using the wrong login information. But we'll do our support group. Probably have some video or audio to listen to for a segment of the group, and then have discussion and or people doing worksheets. And you're invited, and you're also encouraged to pass that information along to anybody that you think might be interested. Our group is free to join, although we will welcome small donations if people have the bandwidth financially to do that, to help pay for the website and the maintenance fees, etc. But we've opened up the Tuesday and Thursday group to the internet for free since the coronavirus restrictions have hit and since so many people are being negatively affected by all of this. So if you know somebody who could benefit from participation in a support group, teaching and supporting people in using these tools, please pass that information along and or feel free to join us yourself. Again, it's at mindshifters with an S, academy.org. And there's a separate page for the login information for each day. Our call-in number on this show right now is 563-999-3581. And if you call that number and press 1, we will do our best to entertain whatever comments or questions you have. And there's a lot that could be talked about. A lot's going on in the world today, a lot that we've covered in the past 10-plus years on this, what people would now call a podcast. When we started, it was called an internet show. We can talk about the Reality Management Worksheet process. We can talk about the Mind Shifter targeted journaling tool. We can talk about the 3 early memories of conflict. We can talk about the responsibility communication tool. We can talk about any of the tools that Michael and Jeannie offer at whyagain.org, whyagain.org. And we're open. We're open to discussion. We have 44 minutes left, plenty of time to talk about whatever might be on your mind. There's nobody in the chat room now. We've got 11 people on the call. What's your pleasure? What's your comment? What's your question? What's a topic you'd like to have us explore? What's a book you've read recently that you'd like to have us take a look at? I had the pleasure last Friday of interviewing Marcella Pixley, who writes books for young adults that are really insightful about human dynamics and relationships. And so thank you to Susan Bingham for that suggestion. So what are you reading? What are you hearing about? Who are the people that you're listening to as motivational or spiritual teachers? You can either call us and press 1 and make that suggestion, or you can email me at tjh@mindshifters-academy.org. And when I get those emails, I do my best to answer them promptly and then discuss any suggested content on the internet show. I had somebody yesterday who was very, very stuck with their conclusion, their trained conclusion, their programmed belief that they were only angry and they were only sad because certain outside events had happened. And this was something that came up on Tuesday in the support group, that somebody was saying, the idea of just letting this stuff flow through you is ridiculous, because if there's a drunk driver who plows into a family in a van and kills everybody in the van, that's not a neutral event, and that's not something you can just let go. And we were trying to have the discussion about how, in scale, everything's in scale. And at one level of scale, when I look out through my eyes, I clearly see that the energy system I call a body is not the same as the chair I'm sitting in, or the door across the office, or the lamp on my desk. It's different. And yet, at another level, as Einstein tells us, we aren't separate or separated from anyone or anything. Everything is energy, and all energy is connected. And as Michael Ryce likes to talk about, if our eyes could see a different range of frequencies, we would perceive more accurately that everything is just energy. Michael likes to use the phrase a whirling mass of protons, neutrons, but those are just energy packets. And they only have the names they have because humans gave them to them. And the more they go into quantum physics, the more they recognize that these energy packets that they seem to identify, they do more popping in and out of existence than just sitting there. So everything we think we know about our lives is made up. And it is not a coincidence that that's exactly what the first 55 or 56 lessons of A Course in Miracles are trying to help us understand, that whatever our eyes and ears and touch and taste and smell show us as pictures in our brain is not the actuality of our existence. It's not all there is, and accurately perceived by us ever. One of the great truths about that is that if I learn to interpret those signals that I register as emotions accurately, I've got an internal guidance system that, as I mentioned in the introduction, the application of these tools becomes an infallible guide. And so anytime I have a negative emotional response, I can know without fail that my interpretation of events, of life, of energies, is off the mark. So, when my patient the other day is trying to tell me that it's ridiculous to say, even though their husband has left them for another woman, they could choose calm, and wants to give all kinds of examples, including at one point, the devastation of war. And I was, trying to point out that, every time there's a war and somebody's declared a winner and somebody's declared a loser, one side cheers and celebrates, and the other side goes into grief or dejection or depression. But they believe that their responses are caused by the same external event. If you just slow that down and observe it for yourself, you can plainly see that the outside event isn't causing joy in one person and sadness in another. It's the interpretation that people throw on the event and the mind energy they pour into those thoughts that make up that interpretation that generates their emotional response. I remember one time I gave a talk, and I was trying to teach people one of the most powerful change tools or perspectives that I'd encountered. Essentially, what I did was I learned that if I wake up every morning and say, here's what I want to have happen today, here's my plan for the day, and at the earliest warning sign of upset, I want to call a timeout for myself, breathe comfortably, relax, shift the focus to inside myself, pull my focus of attention away from how the car won't start or the tire is flat or the person just stood me up for the breakfast meeting or whatever. Turn my focus away from that, turn it inside myself, and ask, I wonder how this is going to turn out better than I could have planned. This is not what I planned for the day. But I wonder how it's going to turn into a blessing, how it will work out better than I had planned, how it might hold a lesson for me to move to the next level. And as I have done that, my life has gotten better by leaps and bounds. And I've talked about how, with the possible exception of the death of a child, it's possible for people to look at the loss of a job, the end of a marriage, the breaking of an ankle, the car accident where the car is totaled, in that way, and watch and see how eventually some of the things that we are most despiteful of and reject and label as tragic and catastrophic eventually lead to some of the most important and best things in our lives down the road, with the possible exception of the loss of a child. And on two separate occasions when I gave a public presentation about that, I had parents who had lost children come to me after the talk and say to me, I want you to know that it even happens with the loss of a child. And the one that's very specifically in my mind was the husband and wife team whose 24-year-old son had committed suicide. And what they had done is they had decided, as soon as they'd processed the grief enough, that they wanted to turn their son's experience and life into a blessing for others. So they began researching and networking with other parents who had lost children to suicide, and they were there they wanted to talk my ear off, basically, and tell me how dramatically their life had improved, how their social network had improved, how they were feeling grateful for the opportunity to help others and perhaps prevent suicide and help the grieving process for parents who had lost children. And all of that, they insisted, was because basically they had done what I was presenting in that talk and looking at this event that they could not change. It was not something they could undo. They didn't have a choice in it. And they could breathe and soften and just ask to be shown how this might turn into something as a blessing for them and others, how they might be a blessing for others in that moment. And it had led them to creating a not-for-profit and networking with other parents and with other professionals, and help them create a sense of purpose for the life their son had lived and the choices their son had made. So we encourage people to question everything we present. It was a delight on Tuesday to have people watch that talk by Michael Singer and come away with anger and frustration, and that's delightful, and that's the only way any of us is going to grow, is by keeping our eyes open and questioning this for ourselves. All I can tell you is that as I question this for myself, as I observe my own life, all kinds of things that have happened in the past, say 17 or 18 years since I was first introduced to this work, there have been all kinds of things happen that I would have labeled horrible, catastrophic, tragic. And yet, with this tool in place, with my willingness to keep the focus inside myself whenever there's a negative emotional response, I have had a dramatically better experience of life through the application of these tools and the Reality Management Worksheet and the targeted journaling tool that Michael calls the Mind Shifter. And so we're here to support you in being able to tap into those same resources. Susan, welcome.
Hi, Dr. Tim. Hi. I was hoping someone else could press 1 and talk, only because this is such an ugly subject, and I've been working on this strangers vomiting in public places thing, and I've stuck with the woman in Walgreens and done 3 more worksheets. I still feel as if I can't or won't get to the bottom of this, but so much in the way of memories and associations has come in that maybe I'm getting there. I've been doing your patter thing, and I'm sort of stuck in the patter part. There are immediate enlightened goals, but they seem facile. Anyway, so I'm not sure where to begin with this. But there's an association between a person throwing up in public, being out of control, makes them worthy of being abandoned, rejected, even sort of psychologically vilified on some level. This is a really big thought disorder thing. And it's just an emotion.
So,
I know. Yeah.
Okay, but if you apply that directly to yourself and start doing some worksheets on the phrases that you just said, you will start to unpack your belief about why it is so important for you to be in control. Did you hear what you just said about what is worthy of people who are not able to control themselves?
It's a revulsion I have. Yeah, I heard it. I don't believe it in my mind.
Well, you absolutely do believe it in your mind, and you believe it's true about you, and that's part of what drives you to try to control so many things in your life that you have no control over, which is a primary mechanism for creating anxiety.
Oh, boy. Jeannie said something at the beginning of the next show. Michael hadn't come on yet, and she just said, Susan, have you ever thought that perhaps those people are doing something that you're not willing to do? They're emptying the contents of their stomachs. They're doing something for you so that you don't have to do it. You're rejecting the idea so thoroughly. I thought she was onto something. What are they rejecting? And when I heard her say that, I thought, and of course this issue has existed for me since I was small, but I remember being in college and reading La Nausée, Jean-Paul Sartre's book, and being chilled to the absolute bone by that book.
By what part of it? What aspect of it?
Well, I think the overall sense that there is nothing there to catch us, nothing. We are totally free, which is very exciting. But there's no support anywhere. It's all on us. I wish I could call up what I had felt at the time, but it was like I felt sick to my stomach. That's what it felt like, and I understood his title very well.
Well, if you look at what Jeannie was saying, that these people are bringing up and bringing out something inside of themselves that had been hidden until they vomited. Just look at it from that perspective. What might you be hiding from yourself? What might you be afraid to speak out loud? What might you be afraid to have someone else see?
Complete despair. No hope. No life after this earthly life. No real consciousness either. Just a reactive entity living out a reactive life on the planet.
So you're afraid that people will see that that's the truth of you?
I'm afraid it will be the truth. Not that people will see it, but that it is the truth.
Okay. So then, the worksheet might be that in relation to this dynamic of seeing people throw up in public, what is it? They are out of control, they are weak, they are sick, they are undeserving of affection or approval. What were some of those other things that you said right at the beginning? What is your image of them?
Vulnerable, worthy to be abandoned, gross, isolated.
Yeah. Right. They're worthy to be abandoned and isolated because they're gross. So if you just turn that to yourself and understand that you cannot hold that view of somebody else unless that's your actual view of yourself. Unless you hold a fear inside yourself that that's true about you, unless you're judging yourself negatively for being all of that. So if you start doing worksheets on the hidden part of your mind that thinks you are gross and unworthy of love and support, you'll probably make more progress.
when Richard Kaplan threw up in kindergarten, he was put in a straight chair in the middle of the room. He sat there with his hands in his pockets, and we stood far away from him. And suddenly he was a thing. No one went to him. The teacher was calling his mother. He was by himself trying to look nonchalant or whatever he was doing. When you mentioned contamination, there is something to that. It isn't like I'm going to catch the throw-ups exactly. It's like a deeper contamination. It's like this boy has got the illness. He's got the fatal something or other, and he's not part of a group anymore. I'm just telling you that because it came to mind. And what you're saying about doing worksheets on that, maybe we should just stop it right here and I go do my homework. And
Well, you'll make far more progress on this if you're anything like me when you shift the target from the outside to the inside.
Yeah.
You know, there's that bottom line observation that is on my list of bottom line observations that I hand to people at a first session. And though some people complain that it's too wordy and that it's too complicated, I stick to it because it is quite effective. And it says, I will never be upset about anything anybody else ever says or does or doesn't do that I think they should, unless I'm still judging myself negatively for doing the same or similar thing.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some part of you that thinks you are disgusting and you are worthy of rejection and isolation, and you are not worthy of love. And that is the actuality of our existence. And when you can dismantle those negative beliefs about yourself and your worthiness or lack of worthiness, you will then have compassion for yourself, and then you will look with compassion on people who throw up in public.
What did you mean? You said that is the actuality. You mean actually we do not deserve to be loved? We deserve to be abandoned? Is that what you're saying? I didn't understand that.
What I'm saying is, it is this actual dynamic of us as humans that we will not hold the belief that somebody else is repulsive unless we are rejecting and feeling repulsive about some part of ourselves.
Well, I thought I was done with all that, but I guess not. I thought I had my spot on the planet, and things were going very well.
Well, but that's the wonderful nature of this infallible system, is that every time it shows me thoughts that generate negative emotions, it lets me know I have another set of targets I can benefit from doing work on.
Yeah.
It lets me know about an error in my thought process.
Right. Okay. Last night in the retreat meeting, one of the people said, I realize that my fear is a fear of death. Aren't all of our fears of death? And I thought, yes, not only death, but one step further, death and complete annihilation for all eternity. There's a sentence in the Episcopal prayer book. I think it's probably part of the burial service or the rite of the funeral service, something like, and let me never be confounded. And I've always thought of that as meaning the last word being total annihilation, darkness, and non-being, non-consciousness, loss of consciousness forever. That's what I'm afraid of. And this man so openly and just said, isn't that what we're all afraid of? I'm certainly terrified of that. And I loved his honesty. We didn't really go there. In a way, we can't. As you say, the work, you aim for being practical to make your life more joyful, more functional, more livable, your relationships better. But it doesn't talk to that.
That meaning that ultimate terror of annihilation and
not the terror,
lack of existence.
The fact of the lack of existence after this little short span of consciousness.
Okay, and so what you're saying is that's what you're really afraid of.
Yeah.
That you're not really afraid of vomiting in public.
Well,
is that what you're trying to pass off on us today?
I don't think this is bullshit, but I understand why it might be.
But think about it. We're not saying that it's wrong or it's all made up. What we're saying is, to make progress on it, I need to work with what is coming up in me in this moment. So if I have coming up in me in this moment a revulsion for somebody throwing up in public, I can do worksheets about that. If I have, after this discussion on the internet show today, a realization that, you know what, I really do feel like unless I am dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's, being just what people need me to be or being socially acceptable, I'm going to be worthy of isolation and rejection. And I can't imagine that. I don't want to be isolated, abandoned, unloved. Then I can do worksheets on that.
Mm-hmm.
But I do the worksheets to best effect when I do the worksheets on whatever's up for me now.
I see.
That
makes sense.
Not something that someone has theorized.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. You do that. You have a way of rounding us up and hauling us in and putting us back in a place where we can do something, where we can learn something solid.
So what would be a formulation for you of the most useful worksheet based on a strong emotional state generated in you? What would be the thought formulation? I'm terrified of having no meaning, no eternal existence. I'm terrified of being rejected. I'm terrified of being isolated or abandoned. And whichever one of those, the eternal, okay, then that would be a worksheet for you. Or you could do targeted journaling on it. It's safe and healing for me to understand that my existence is fleeting.
Oh, boy. Whoa. I don't know if I can do that worksheet. I mean, Mind Shifter. And
well,
of course,
sure. You could do that. You could tweak it a little bit by saying, it's safe and healing for me, and I love it when I realize that this whole existence is ephemeral and doesn't last and has no deep meaning. You can tweak it until you want to vomit. Let's sit down and write about that.
Yeah, that may be the connection right there. It's just unbearable. I can't stomach it.
So you're saying you can't stomach the thought that your existence is temporary?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that would be a real good thing to do some targeted journaling on.
Okay. My sister and I have a discussion about this every once in a while, and she always said, look, Sue, who cares? Once you don't know anything, you don't know anything. You don't even know that you don't know. And this comforts her. It doesn't comfort me. It doesn't comfort her. It's just enough for her. It's just enough. It's acceptable. Yeah. I realize I'm getting mad at the idea that there's nothing after. How could there be all this wonderful being on the planet, all these amazing beings, all this amazing life? Its value partly has to do with the fact that it will always be. That's a funny idea.
Well, one thing we know at the core of this work is that if I am generating anger, it is completely an internal process. So what are you using in your thought process, in your belief system, to generate anger? That would be what you could tap into if you committed to doing that mind shifter.
Yeah.
Especially if you tweak it to the point where your emotions are at a peak before you start writing.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Brain explosion.
Well, it would be most beneficial for you to let that brain explosion spill out onto the paper. Because as we know in this work, if I keep it there spinning in my mind in circles, I don't get resolution. I don't get clarity. I don't get to see the insanity of my thought process.
Right, okay. Anybody else have a hand up, Dr. Tim? I need rescuing.
All right, well, somebody did put their hand up and then left it, but we can just leave you to go do your breathing, tapping, or journaling, whatever works best for you. All right, I appreciate the call. Thank you so much.
Welcome. Thanks for helping.
Blessings.
Thanks for doing it.
All right.
Thanks.
So we have 10 minutes left. If somebody else wants to put their hand up again, our call-in number is 563-999-3581. And if you call that number and press 1, we can have a conversation. We have 10 minutes left in the first hour. We have another hour coming up with Michael and Jeannie. And we'd be happy to do our best to help you. So area code 828, you're in the air.
Hi, Dr. Tim. This is Magda.
Hello, Magda.
Hiya. I just wanted to, since you and Susan are complete, I just wanted to add something for Susan's benefit. I had gone through that whole fear of not existing, and that was some years ago. Like existence was unbelievable to me that I would just end, that my personality, my being would just end. Well, since then, I have come to change my beliefs and really firmly believe that the actual being that I am, my true being, my soul, if you will continue and continue and continue. It will change form and will no longer be in what we call a body. However, it will continue, become part of the rest of the energy of love. Whatever happens, I'm not sure. The fun thing is, or funny, and you know this about me already, is that I have another fear about dying, and that is, what will people think of me if I die and my house and my papers and everything are not in perfect order? And that's what I'm working on now. And you had suggested that I take some pictures and show people. And I've done that with about 5 people. So that and other things I'm working on it. So I just wanted to tell Susan and the person who she heard this from that not everyone is afraid to die.
All right. So what's that experience been like for you to share the truth of your home organization with a few friends?
Sharing with them has kind of been a hoot. Even people who I consider very organized, that there are also people who are accepting of process. And so it's been it's released a lot of my tension about it, so that I can get into the thought mode of who cares? It really doesn't matter. And what matters is living in joy and love while I'm here. So now my attitude about moving ever closer to the kind of organization that I have let slip but want to recreate, it's quite a bit different. It's a lot more fun. And I actually look forward to it, to carving out the time to sit down with all the piles of mail that I haven't gone through and all of that stuff. And so I'm in process, and I give updates to people via pictures, especially when I start a project that really displays a great deal of mess, and then I can share with how it looks after I put some time into it.
All right. Well, that sounds productive.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like
it's
some
slow.
movement on your part.
Right. Yeah, there is movement. It is very slow. I am very slow in changing this, and it's working. I've had some very good and deep conversations, for instance, with my brother, who clued me into how this behavior was going on ever since I was a child, because he's a very organized person, and so it was good to get that feedback from him, and that's helped me to put my present experience in life in some historical order and see where some of that came from. So, yeah, and it's ended up with me doing worksheets around my power person, because basically I adopted his mode of dealing with a lot of things, which was to scare myself, put it off, not sure how to start. All of that I can see that it's my father and me that I'm living to a certain extent. So that's been a lot of good releases there. And it is slow.
All right. Well, congratulations on that, and good luck with the continued movement in that direction. Is there anything else we can do to support you today?
Let's see. Yeah, just hold space for me to continue on my merry way with this change within me. Thank you. That would be great.
I will do that. I will do so.
Okay.
All right. All right. Well, thank you for the call. Blessings.
Mm-hmm. Blessings.
Area code 760, you are in the air.
Hey, Dr. Tim, this is Ann. This is Ann in Florida. I want to go back to the conversation with Susan. It was reminding me, because I don't have that reaction to somebody throwing up in public, but it reminds me of the example that Michael gives. I can't remember if it's the "why is this happening to me again" thing, where he talks about the marker, that one child is afraid of the marker. The other child has been drawing with it since he was a kid. The other one had somebody, a teacher or a parent, throw a marker at him, so he had a different perspective of what a marker is. And so
right.
Isn't it the same thing? She has a different perspective of somebody throwing up in public than I do. So it comes from, like, I think you were she identified the child being isolated, and I didn't have that experience. So that's a reason I have a different experience with somebody throwing up in public, right? I have more compassion. So is it a matter of, like, doing a worksheet? I mean, if I put this, in something that's happening with me, doing a worksheet to dismantle the childhood experience? Is that?
Yeah, that's all part of it. Absolutely. Well, what she's going to find out is what she has loaded in her mind about what it means that people throw up, or what's going to happen to people if they display that kind of lack of control or weakness publicly. All of that is stuff that we were talking about with her, and she'll uncover it the more she does the targeted journaling or the worksheets specifically on that emotional energy.
Right. So it would be the same thing for me, only a different circumstance. So, if I'm looking at somebody else and I have those thoughts, then I need to look at, well, where did that come from, and do the work with where that came from. Because what was put in my mind, where did I have the event that said, hey, this is, I can't specifically think of it right now, but yesterday something came up in me, and so that's why I was asking. So it's the matter of just going back to where the event happened and
well, it's more, it's not so much a matter of going back to the event. It's a matter of working with what you have right now. What came up as a trigger for you today? What are your thoughts and emotions about it? What's your goal for that situation now? Then when you cancel all of that, you'll see whatever you need to see. It might be about a past event. It might be a different perspective on the present moment. But this is getting out of the trying to figure it out part and getting into the part of my mind that can open to intuition and insight and being taught. That happens every time we cancel the goal.
Okay, got it. I was trying to put the horse before the cart. I mean the cart before the horse. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And fall into that trap of figuring it out, which never works.
Okay. Right, absolutely.
All right. Blessings.
Okay, thanks.
So I'll remind us all that we come from love. We're made of the stuff that we call love. We actually are love, and everything else is false. Welcome, Jeannie Ryce.
Thank you, Dr. Tim. Good conversation. And I'm also putting a link in the notes because they were talking about dying and is there anything after life and everything. There's a medical doctor, Zach Bush, who shares his experience of bringing 3 patients back from death, and each one of them saying, "Why'd you bring me back?" And that it was total bliss on the other side. So, and that's just one of many, many experiences that are shared, that there is something after death, and it's not anything to be afraid of. So.
All right. We'll have a blessed show.
Thank you. So welcome, everybody, to the second hour of Mind Shifters Radio. Today is Thursday, February the 20th.